Radio.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And today my guest is Jack Bauer. He's a host of the American Reconstruction Project. Hey, this is cool. This is cool. We can argue about who interviews who, Jack.
Good morning. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing well. How about you? How's California treating you? How's
good. This hour of the morning, I'm just barely investigating the inside of my eyelids still, but that's okay. I'm here for you.
Hey, I appreciate that. You know, how are you doing with the child molesting cops there in Fresno? Is that
you know, the lowlife SOB police chief Jerry Dyer, which I did a national TV series on, is a known pedophile child molester. And about 3 weeks ago, he up and all of a sudden announced he was resigning in 2 days. Well, he's still on the books, and what he actually did was they plugged a hole that I've been talking about for years, where he's been skimming $10,000 a month into his private retirement fund. Well, what they did is they turned around and they put a plug in that hole. They plugged the dike. Well, so he immediately resigned along with about 15 or 20 other cops and bureaucrats. Well, what we didn't know originally was when he resigned, they doubled his salary to keep him to continue for another year. So he's getting twice his salary now, sucking off the tit of society as usual, being a low-life scum-sucking pig, and still a child molester. That has never changed. But here we are stuck with him for another year. He's out prosecuting people for crimes lesser than what he was doing, or is still doing. And what by still doing, he's a cokehead, he's a steroid user, he's a murderer. Well, that's just low on the totem pole, I guess. He has a hit squad working for him. He's a big-time marijuana grower and distributor. Not that that's a bad thing, but it is when you have a hit squad that works for you promoting this. His kids are scum. His nephews are scum. The whole family, the Dyer family in general, is nothing but scum-sucking pigs, white, low-life garbage, white trailer trash.
And how did he get into power as a police chief? And this is not an elected position. Somebody hired him and paid him to do this. So I would say the higher ups are using him to cover for him. Now, isn't this basically the same thing that the Oath Keepers went to quartzsite about when they fired the elected mayor, and the police chief was behind it all?
Well, I tried to expose him. I've exposed him for the last 5-10 years. In fact, when he was being appointed or being put up there, I brought it to the mainstream media here, the big station, 50,000 watt KMJ, and I brought it to the talk show host there, which is Ray Appleton. We brought this subject up about him being a child molester, and it almost cost him his appointment. But somehow he still managed to get through, and he's in there. And then there's been 12, 15 people that have tried to take him down by exposing the bastard for the lowlifeness that he is. But every one of them now are felons. So he's got some heavy horsepower behind him. You know, when you're sleeping with slime, you're going to slime around right with them. And when Schwarzenegger was in there, that low-life piece of scum was personally protecting this piece of crap. Now, word has it now is that he's actually whining and dining and sucking up, probably literally, to Moonbeam Brown, our half-baked mayor that screwed us once before, who's our new governor. He's trying to get an appointment with him from what we understand. So, you know, the man is just nothing but pig scum. I got a feeling we may end up seeing him running for mayor the next time here if he doesn't get a commitment with Jerry Brown's group.
Well, you know, even when you expose him, I kind of did that to Morris Dees. He was out selling a book that's you know, Slimy Poverty Law Center, and you know, he was attacking me as being in the militia. You know, they tell you, well, Clay started the militia. Well, they just don't tell you that I did it in the governor's office. You know.
Yeah, they fail to give all the truth. You know, they've got a very dear friend of mine, Dave Merlin, in jail up there in SeaTac, and they, you know, if you read the Bible right, it's okay to commit adultery and murder and drugs and sex and rock and roll. If you read it and you do like the IRS does and don't read it in its entirety, you can read anything into it that you want. But then again, it doesn't make it right. You know, I've been known to kill my third wife every time I'm married. Does that make it right when I get married the third time again to kill that one? No. Their rule of law, their rule of thinking is, well, we get away with this all the time, therefore, you know, that's our rule of law. We do this all the time. Well, that doesn't make it right. And, you know, when you've got scum leading, what kind of society can you have when you've got, you know, a child molester that's the police chief, that's also a cokehead?
How about a heroin addict, child molester? We had one of those for president for 8 years. George G.W. Bush, he molested Kathy O'Brien's daughter for years.
Oh yeah, him and Cheney both. Cheney is a scum-sucking pig, and I would dance on his grave or piss on it the day that they plant him under. You know, and I don't know if the ground can keep him down low enough. He's such a scum.
That was Kathy O'Brien's handler. That was Kathy O'Brien's handler.
Really?
Yes. And she did the book. She did the book. As a matter of fact, I've got one of her DVDs here. She did the book Transformation of America, talking about the mind control.
Well, the country's in deep shit. Bottom line, sorry to use my French, but there's no other way to put it other than to be absolutely accurate, which I try to do. My show, that's one of the things, you know, I see a change. I just don't think it's enough soon enough. I think it's too little too late, personally. I think, in my personal opinion, for what the hell that's worth, is we're not going to see any kind of change until we see hot lead in the air. And I actually think we're already starting to see that.
Well, now, you know what? That's just one of the things that I'm working on right now is an article. I met with the sheriff here. Now, you know, I know you're down quite a bit on law enforcement, but the sheriff, people like Sheriff Richard Mack, Sheriff Larry Devers, Sheriff Paul Babot up here in just in the county north of me. These are good men. They've been elected honestly. They're trying to do the right thing, and I'm trying to help them. But of course, that'll probably get me demonized even more. Like you know, if you say anything about, you know, the Apostle Paul being the Pharisee Saul, and you know, suddenly you're a Paul basher and you're a bad guy in Christian identity.
Well, you know, I'm so torn, you know, because I would love to be a proud American again. I'm not. This country sucks. Bottom line, it sucks. And it's not the country, it's not the land mass that sucks. It's the assholes that we've got driving the chariot. And it's not going to get any better through political manipulation, through voting manipulation. This is how we've got the scum that we have. And people are getting fed up. People are fed up. You know, my own family up until about 2 years ago would not invite me to outings and family outings because, oh my Lord, he might talk that talk. Well, the change that I see is those same people now are coming to me going, Jack, what are we going to do? And I make it real simple. I said, it's simple. Bend over, kiss your sorry ass goodbye, because you should have listened to me 20 years ago when we might have made an effective change.
John Trockman told me, militia Montana. John and I were in the militias. We started the militias. I promoted the militias. And he quit. He just quit. And I said, why? What are you doing? What do you, we ain't won. The battle ain't over yet. And he goes, Clay, we tried to tell them what was going on. We tried to tell them what NAFTA was going to be. We tried to tell them what GATT was going to be. We tried to tell them what FEMA was going to become. They wouldn't listen to us then. They wouldn't support us then. They don't want to, and they're not supporting us now. Fuck them. They're going to get the government they deserve.
Yep, what they bought and paid for. And what we see happening now is we are seeing the killing of judges and cops. And again, what I started to say, I'd love to be a proud American. Piss on this country right now, the way it is, and I don't see it getting any better. And the problem with law enforcement is the older guys that could probably even spell the word discretion are getting the hell out. Like your friend just said, I can't, it's worthless. We're not going to do it. And what they're doing is they're getting these punk-ass kids right out of the police academy who have been taught how to threaten, harass, duress, coerce you into jumping through their hoops. That's it. And if you don't, they shoot you. So the old guys that had discretion and had a little bit of a brain on them, they're gone, or they're going. They're rapidly going. And, I've talked to some of those older cops, and they're fed up with the crap. They're fed up with the system. I actually ran into a decent one here about a week ago. A buddy of mine's got a big electrical company, and we're pretty sure we know who it was. His name's Travis Jordan. Broke into one of his 40-foot containers and stole about $40,000 worth of his electrical wire. This will go to scrap. The cop that came out to investigate it was very, very empathetic about it, or sympathetic about it. And he tried to explain to my friend when he reported, he said that, they're so frustrated because they can actually catch, a crook in crime running or at the scene with his hands on the, hands in the cookie jar. They book them, throw them in jail, and they're out within an hour before the paperwork is done because the DA refuses to prosecute or, throw them away. Yet they'll go after people like you and I and put our sorry asses in jail indefinitely for a minor traffic infraction because we're driving without, or we're traveling, let me change that, traveling without a driver's license because we've refused to bow down and break the law, which is what we're doing if we're getting a driver's license. They got plenty of room for people like us. My good friend Steve Lobley, they just put him, I think, in Lompoc for tax evasion, tax fraud. Started out with 2 years, and every time he tried to invoke his constitutional liberties or rights, they kicked another 2 years. They got it up to 8 years, and the judge made the comment at the end, if there was any way he could give him more time, he would. Well, when does the judge's personal feelings come into dealings when it comes to doling out punishment or judgment on a corrupt, bullshit, bogus crime in the first place? Dave Merlin, one of the smartest people I know when it comes to law, is sitting up at CTAC right now. He's been in for 9-10 months. They're giving him, I think, 18 months. He's going to take a plea deal because if he didn't take it, they were threatening with another additional 25 counts to throw on top of it. And as corrupt and out of control as this system is, he's not willing to take the gamble, even as smart as he is and as right as he is. That's sad. When you sell out your values and your morals and everything else to stay out of jail, it's going to take martyrs. There's going to be a lot of us dead martyrs, but there's going to be a lot more of them on their side dead.
Jack, I got into all of that. I mean, I was offered a deal, man. All I had to do is work for the CIA. Is all I had to do. Well, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. If I worked with the drug dealers, which is the CIA, or something of the similar name, it's like the gun runners are BATF, and the backup for an illegal president is called the FBI. They're basically working for a new world order, and anybody anywhere in the world that doesn't want to go along with one world banking by criminals, by the banksters, then you're the terrorist. You're the dissident. I mean, what's happening in America right now? What's happened to me? I mean, everything that you've talked about here has happened to me. They put me in prison for marijuana You know, when in California today, I would be, I wouldn't be a criminal at all. I'd be a good businessman.
Oh, exactly, and not only that, when you got, like say, a police chief down here that's pushing hard to try to make it illegal again because it's going against his competition. He's got some of the biggest grows around. The guy's a coke dealer, he's a pot dealer, and he's got his pigs, his cops out there in the field, you know, fronting and promoting his product. So it's not a fair, you know, playing field. It's not you know, open commerce, because the cops, who are now the largest gang on the face of the earth, and they're all corrupt as hell. I don't give any of them, I wouldn't piss in any of their mouths if any of their tongues were on fire. But that's just my personal opinion. I've got people like yourself and Will Wagner who says, "Oh, we like cops. We think we need them. We're going to need them when the crap hits the fan." No, you're not, because what you're going to see happen is they're going to cut and run faster than anybody. Other than the dumbasses, the young ones that are right out who think they're still 1,000 foot tall and bulletproof, we got problems. You know, some of these punks that are coming into law enforcement are right from the Iraq War. They're right out of the war environment, so they're trained killers. They have no discernment. They have no discretion. They just shoot to kill, and they think about, you know, they prove themselves later. And when you got a bunch of assholes that are in this gang that are willing to support, back you, and lie and cheat for you, I mean, they've got a license, literally a license to kill. James Bond would have loved to have the license they have for the damage that they're doing to people.
What they're trying to do now, they are attacking the veterans. This event I'm putting together down here in Arizona in Cochise County on Veterans Day, 11/11/11, yeah, is for the veterans, because I volunteered. Now, I didn't go to Vietnam. They tried to kill me before I got there. Evidently, I've been a threat right from the beginning here to them. And what they've been doing to me over the years, you know, I'm one of the old guys. I'm one of the ones that helped start this whole patriot movement. You know,
sure, you are. Absolutely. You're one of my old-time heroes, Clay.
I learned from Eustace Mullins. I learned from my friend William Cooper, Beryl Cooper. I used to sit in his house, pet his dog, watch him load his gun, and we were talking about putting our magazines together to fight them. Then they killed him in 2001, and they tried to kill me in 2004. But this whole 9/11, we just went through the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, and I said in this article that I'm working on right now that 9/11 was merely the shot over the bow of this nation. It was the beginning of the final push towards culling the masses to the elite's acceptable population levels. The banksters have fomented war after war, created situation after situation to reduce populations and tighten the controls on the people under the guise of the New World Order code for one world government of the banksters, by the banksters, and for the banksters. It may have backfired on them. Now, for the years, I've been the conspiracy theorist, I've been the radical, I've been the black helicopter guy, I've been whatever kind of, I've been the racist, I've been the anti-Semite. But on 9/11, 3,000 people were sacrificed, and the lies were so obvious that even the common, drugged out, dumbed down couch potatoes started to sit straight and say, "What the fuck?"
Yep.
Lies are still being forced on us. Go ahead.
We see a lot of that changing, Clay. I mean, there's more and more investigations. The big one, which back 10 years ago, I did a thesis on 9/11. I got the only A in my college class, and it's still up on the web. I got over like 15 or 20 million hits, and it's never been debated or disputed. And I point pure positive that Bush and Cheney had their fingers on the button. They're the ones that you basically piloted those rockets, planes, whatever it was, into it. And Building 7, which I'd pointed out, came down with a couple trash fires going on in it.
Yeah.
And when you got Silverstone making a comment on TV that he told them to pull it, pulling it is a technical term for destroying or imploding a building. And you don't set charges in a building in a matter of minutes. It takes weeks or months.
I pointed that out. I pointed that out with Building Number 7 on the cover of my March 2004 magazine. I pointed out that the photographer in there had already set in on the conference, and while it was owned by the Port Authority, the engineering firm that had been in there for 10 years decided that it couldn't be repaired. It could not be repaired. They could not build scaffolding that high. So they sold it to Larry Silverstein. He insured it to the hilt and collected.
And then he tried to collect it 3 times because there were 3 buildings. And, you know, the low-life scum-sucking pig, you know, he's got more money. God borrows 20s from him. And he turns around and he tries to get triple damages because there was 3 incidences. They wouldn't let him collect on 3 of them. I mean, it just boggles my mind. How much money is enough? When is enough enough? When you can purchase anything, anyone that you want, how much more do you need, for God's sakes?
Well, you don't. But let me share a little bit of wisdom from Herbert Hoover, born in 1874, died in 1964, the 31st U.S. president. Every collectivist revolution rides in on a Trojan horse of emergency. It was the tactic of Lenin, Hitler, and Mussolini. In the collectivist sweep over a dozen minor countries of Europe, it was the cry of men striving to get on horseback, and emergency became the justification of the subsequent steps. This technique of creating emergency is the greatest achievement in that demagoguery attains.
Well, you know, we've got a piece of scum that's pretending to be president right now who has pressed that emergency button so many times that he's worn it out. People aren't buying his crap anymore. You know, he's down, the only good thing I see coming out of this, he's down to 39% on his approval rating, which is nothing. I mean, it's the lowest any president I think has ever gotten. And this worthless bastard, I hope that they drum him out. Like, say, I got my mom plucking chickens right now, and I'm heating up the oil in the back of the yard. He's going to be lucky to get out with his skin. They're going to tar and feather his sorry ass like he should be. And the sad point about it is, it, you know, makes me sound racist, which I'm anything but. And then he's the first one to play the race card of anybody I've ever heard in my life. And it's starting to catch up with him. It's definitely starting to catch up with him. He's nothing more though than a puppet. I mean, he's a scum-sucking pig. He's nothing. He's dumb as a frickin' rock. You know, it's just been through sleight of hand tricks that's got him where he is. And you know, the cool part about it is even a lot of the black community are now turning on him. They thought he was going to be the end-all of end-alls. You know, first one to play the race card. He's going to give them free houses and free gas. I remember some of these women, you know, standing on mailboxes saying, "I'm not leaving until my president's in there. They're going to give me my new house." You know what? Get out and work for it. Just because you got a different skin color than I do, you got actually more opportunity. You and I, Clay, are the new minority in this country. The white males, 45 and above, we're the minority in this country, and we're the ones that are the most oppressed. They take it out on us before they take it out on anything else. And we're the bad guys because we're those mean, redneck, white boys that are, you know, we're the clans. No, we're not. It's not the way it is at all. We may be proud of our country, but we hate the assholes that are leading it. And I'll tell you what, if this dinar thing comes through, you can color my ass gone. I want out of this country. I want out of here so bad I can taste it. They make it difficult for me to leave, but they don't want me here. It's a real quandary. If you want me out so bad, give me a couple $1,000s and give me a ticket to Costa Rica and color my ass gone. I won't bother you anymore. I'll be on the air regular, but I don't have to put up with this horse shit in this stinking country.
Well, I can't even leave. I can't even leave because I don't have a passport. I won't get one right now. And I think they're putting up those fences down there along the border to keep us in, not the illegals out.
Well, you're making a great point. If you drive anywhere through town now, or any of the towns, or anywhere in the country where they're building new communities, they're calling them gated communities, and they're putting these huge retainer walls around them with the big, huge metal iron gates with the, you know, the tops of them pointing in. That's not to keep people out, for God's sakes. That's to lock people in. And they're doing it so they've got cul-de-sacs at the end of it where it's very easily manipulated, where they can herd the sheeple right into the corner of these cul-de-sacs and load them into the choppers, and off to the death camps they go. Well, and people are going, "Oh gosh, it's such a gated community. It's so screw you. Are you stupid? Give me some of your happy pills. Or if you're doing some good pot, send it my way, because I want to feel like you do and be happy like you are." But I just can't find it. It doesn't matter how many drugs I take, how much alcohol I consume, the country still sucks. The only thing I see that's beneficial about any of this is a lot of people, even my own parents who are up there in age. My mom's starting to get Alzheimer's, and she made the comment here a year ago that, you know, she knew, "Jack, I knew this day was coming. I just didn't think it would come in our lifetime." So everyone has been aware that it was coming, and they're no longer in a position where they have the option of accepting it. They have to accept it now because it's here. It's not coming. It is here. We're looking, in my opinion, at an economic crash that's going to make the 30s look like a cakewalk. And it's knocking on our door right now. It's here. It's on us. I don't know if you saw the Ron Paul interview, the debate the other day with Ron Paul.
I don't watch television. I don't even have a television. I don't want one. I shot it when I started the militia.
Well, he did an interesting thing. He was making some very, very valid points, and he used a silver mercury dime to make these points as a pointing device and tapping on it. And that was for a reason. He didn't just have to pull a silver dime out of his pockets. You think quit making those back in '64, and a mercury's back in the '40s. He used a specific mercury dime to make a point. And you know, the problem is we've been so dumbed down and numbed down, being sheepalized in the public school system, that we don't analyze this stuff. I carry some silver coin in my wallet, and I carry a pre-64 $20 bill, and I give this lecture almost every day. And when I point it out to people, I make a bet with I'll make it with anybody. I will bet every bill in their wallet or they're carrying on them is counterfeit, and then I go about the thing of proving it to them, and they're going, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that." Exactly.
I have a $5 bill that they tell me is worth $10,000 because it was printed in 1963 and it says United States note on it, and that's the reason they killed Kennedy. Executive Order 1111-0.
Huh. Yeah, I had one of those U.S. notes, and my son stole it from me several years ago when I got put in jail. Being of which, you know, they threw my sorry ass in jail 2 years ago for telling the judge to go fuck himself. And then they put me in jail for 2 days, and they would not allow me to see my attorney or talk to him, wouldn't allow him to come and talk to me or see me. So that cost Tulare County $35,000. I got paid about a month ago. $35,000. Who won on this deal? You know, I got 2 days of vacation in their little jailhouse blues, the Gray Bar Motel, eating and whatever on them, and resting or, you know, putting up with their horse shit, and then I get paid $35,000 for it on an hourly basis. Who won on this deal? And that was an out-of-court settlement, and I'm not done with them yet. I'm getting ready to go back after them again. But that's just me, and if you can understand and get it in your mind just how stupid cops really are, and you start, as soon as you start having any kind of interaction with these low-life bastards, you start taking notes or recording it. And I took notes on napkins and everything else, as you know, in jail with that little 3/4 of an inch pencil. It was enough to get me $35,000 out of court settlement. I won $50,000 out of Monterey about 7 years ago for a couple of cops pissing me off over there. So once you understand just how stupid cops are, it's pretty easy to make a buck on them. I need to go back to jail so I can make a better living.
Well, we've got the wrong people in jail, don't we?
Absolutely. Again, you got people like Steve Lobley, who, you know, Jared Butler's his pen name. He's sitting in there. They gave him 8 years. The man is 65 years old. He's been on Social Security. He's on food stamps and Medi-Cal, Medicare, and then they're saying he's a multimillionaire. He's got it all stashed somewhere. I mean, what a bunch of horse shit. And then you got Dave Merlin, who has done nothing wrong. They trumped up charges on him. They threw him in jail. They got a grand jury indictment against him, and a federal grand jury indictment. And as you know, we can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. We prove that. And they've got him sitting in SeaTac doing what good is doing humanity at all. I know when I was in jail, it's a whole different culture in there. It's a whole different society in there. And I learned so much in those 2 days how those people get around in there. They've got their own mail system. They got their own food system. They got the terminology, how they run mail between themselves. I mean, you better hope that they don't put a hit on your ass in there, because it's gonna happen, period. There's nothing them cops would do or could do to save you. So